up, nerds? Welcome back to the Nerdy Narrative. My name is Leslie Smith, and today on the channel, it is time for another weekly update. We're going to start with all of the books that I finished. First is The Dark Corners of the Night by Meg Gardner. This is the crime thriller series, more specifically a serial killer series. Each book in the series, there's 4 that are currently out, is inspired by a different real-life serial killer, but Meg Gardner always puts a twist on it. I will not tell you the twist for this one because it's too good, but this one is inspired by the BTK killer. Sadly, it has a lot of info dumping about serial killers in it, which I already knew, so I was kind of like wanting to get past that to get back to the serial killer hunting part. So if you're someone who is not a junkie like me, then you might actually find this one a little more interesting than I did, and I followed up with the 4th book in the Unsubbed series, Shadowheart. This one is inspired by the serial killer Samuel Little, who claims to have killed 93 people between 1970 and 2005. And what he started doing was drawing portraits of his victims, which they were able to match to missing persons. I was not familiar with him at all, so this was a whole new deal. Plus the twist with this one, it's about when 2 serial killers begin to compete with one another. It's a wild case, a wild ride of a book, best in the series so far, cannot recommend enough. And then the only other book I finished was I Was a Teenage Slasher by Stephen Graham Jones. Oh man, I'm still emotional over this ending. This one finally dethroned my favorite horror book of all time, which is The Only Good Indians, which is also by Stephen Graham Jones. I just didn't think it was ever going to happen. I didn't think anything could measure up to what Stephen Graham Jones did in The Only Good Indians, but he did it and he passed it, and I'm just going, how did you do that? How did you do that? But this book is about 17-year-old Tully Driver, who the summer before he is supposed to become a senior is cursed to become a slasher and kill for revenge. And this book is going to hit you in your feels. If you love slashers, you will love this book, and it's going to change your mindset. You will never view another slasher in the same way again. Guaranteed. I promise you it is worth reading this book. If you don't read another spooky book this year, let this be the one. And it's really not even that scary. Okay, well, it has some gory parts, but I think you can get past it if it's not the genre you normally pick up. Oh, so good. So good. Books that I'm still working on. I started Ghost Camera by Darcy Coates. This is an arc that's coming out on July 30th. But Ghost Camera is actually a novella. It's one of the first stories that Darcy Coates ever wrote. She made a few tweaks to it, just a few. She wanted to leave it as much as the original format as she could. So she just changed a few things, like reworded sentences that had issues, things of that nature. There was one like POV change randomly in a paragraph. She fixed that. I loved that novella. I loved the writing style. So I really think that one other book that I read by her, Dead of Winter, I didn't like the way that one was written, but she kept me hooked. She kept me coming back, and I finished the book and I wanted to read something else, and I was hoping that she didn't write all of her stuff like that. This book shows that she does not. In fact, I have to say, I'm loving this collection. I didn't realize it was a collection. It's a novella and other short stories that she's written. I think I'm about halfway done. Should be finishing that in the next few days. If you're a fan of Darcy Coates, you are absolutely going to love this collection. Ghost Camera is the only one in the collection that I know has been previously released. I'm not sure about the other stories. So if you've read a lot by Darcy, you might want to check out the table of contents to make sure you're not buying something you might already own. On audiobook, which I should finish today, I am listening to Quaint Creatures, the Magical and Mundane by Andrew G. Meredith. I have been smiling the whole time I have been listening to this book. It's about a giant who has a shop where he has magical creatures, but he's also a veterinarian. I have had the most fun listening about all the different creatures that he has in the shop, the ones that people bring to see him, the different types of people that live in Bright Fall, which is where this book is set. And of course, there are a couple of mysteries involved that our main character, Norik Softstep, finds himself looking into. If you're somebody who has ever played D&D, You will love this book. Before Norik Sofstep was a veterinarian, he was a dungeon inspector, and he would go around looking at dungeons where heroes could come and quest and go through all the different levels. And Rick's job was to make sure everything was up to snuff, all of the creatures were being treated correctly, they were in clean living conditions. Y'all, this book, like I said, feel good fantasy. As far as what I'm going to read next, the same two books that I mentioned last week that I didn't get into yet this week. Time's Orphan by Haley Reese Chow, which is part of a series, but it's written as a standalone. Time's Orphan is actually going to be the very next book that I start, which is probably going to be this evening. As soon as I finish that one, I'm going to start Journey into the Cosmos by Jake Friedenau. My next audiobook is going to be a reread of Ledge by Stacey McEwen, because I just got Chasm in the mail to read and review that one, the second in the trilogy. The third in the trilogy, I believe, is already out as well. It's called Valley. That's my next series up that I'm going to get completed. And then what else have I done this week? On Tuesday, I had a review go live for I Was a Teenage Slasher by Stephen Graham Jones. You need to go watch that. Let me convince you to read that book if it's not already on your TBR. It's a non-spoiler video, of course. On Thursday, I had a review for Iron Flame go up. That's the second book in Rebecca Yaros's The Empyrean series. And then on John Douglas's channel, I was part of a panel that discussed the Black Tower series by Stephen King. I had such a great time talking about that series with all of the wonderful booktubers that were involved. I'm going to have a link to all of those videos down in the description box below if you want to check any of those out. Next week on the channel, what do I have going up? On Tuesday, I have The Blood Dim Tide by Stephen Aryan. That's the second book in the historical fantasy series, The Nightingale and the Falcon. It's a reimagining of when the Mongol Empire was taking over Persia. So good. On Thursday, remember at the beginning of the video, the books I was talking about that were inspired by different serial killers? I'm reviewing the first book in the series called Unsub by Meg Gardner. That's going to go up on the channel, so definitely check that out if I caught your attention with the book I was talking about at the beginning of the video. So Halloween Horror Nights revealed another house, and it's going to be Insidious based on the fourth movie. So Chris and I decided we were going to watch all four movies. So we watched the first two. The first one scared the stuffing out of both of us. Just the whole smoke and mirrors where you never quite see what's going on in the first movie just got to us. Once it got to the end and you started seeing them fully, that really lessened the fear factor of it, because a couple of them looked really hokey once you saw them fully. And then the second movie, chapter 2, it wasn't that scary, but it was very interesting, and just how it interacted with itself in the first movie. It was kind of like an Inception of sorts. So we still have to watch the third and fourth movie, which I think we're going to be doing tonight and tomorrow. The only other exciting news I can think of, and why I haven't been playing any video games this week, is I got a new tattoo, which it's still kind of bandaged up. I don't know if you can really see because it's still got ink all over it, but I'll insert a picture over here so you can see it a little more clearly. My husband and I got matching tattoos, sort of. So a few weeks ago, Chris went to finish a tattoo that he had been working on his forearm. And there was some space here, and he had this idea that he wanted to get Stuff tattooed on that little spot right there. Stuff is the mascot for the Orlando Magic. He is just the cutest little dragon you ever did see. We just love him so, so much. And so when Chris told GINA that's what he wanted, she drew up two different designs, and he picked the one he wanted, which is in the same place on the same arm, and he messaged me and he said, I think you should get the other stuff. And if you're someone who has a tattoo, then you know what happens. You get one, you always want another one. So the opportunity to go in and get inked was fantastic. I also loved the shop. The name of the shop is Time Warp Tattoo. I'll have it linked down in the description below. But if you're a fan of the show Ink Master, this shop is owned by Christian Buckingham, and I I got to meet him and talk to him. Real cool dude. Everybody in the shop was cool. It was just a great day, great conversation. Normally when I get tattooed, I'm listening to audiobook or I have my Kindle. Never touched either of those two things the whole day. I was just having fun talking to all the people in the shop. We also had a bit of excitement regarding Milo Brown, and that is my little white and brown spotted Jack Russell Terrier. If you've been around the channel a while, you've probably seen him sneak into frame here or there. But Milo is about to be 14 years old, and he started acting funny one morning. Really alarmed me, so we took him to an emergency vet, who then referred us to an optometrist for pups. And one of the lenses in Milo's eye, his left one, has detached, kind of moved around, and it's gotten inflamed and caught kind of in a painful spot. So we've got him on 3 different drops and some pain medicine. We're hoping the inflammation goes down so his lens can just be popped back in. The chances of him getting his eyesight back is very slim. A lot of that has to do with his age, but please, y'all, I need all the positive vibes for over the next 2 weeks. We're hoping the drops help so that either the lens can be popped back into place or it falls down in the bottom of the eye. If that doesn't happen, we have to either remove the lens or his eye. Sorry, dang it. I thought I could tell y'all about it without crying, but apparently not. That's my baby. I was scared to death. I was like, I'm going to go in here with this dog and they're going to tell me that he has to be put down. I hate for my baby to be in pain. I hate that he might lose an eye, but I am so grateful that he is completely healthy otherwise, and I'm not going to lose my puppy, at least not today. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Hopefully in 2 to 3 weeks, I'll be on here delivering good news about my baby. Let's hope. But with that, I'm going to leave y'all to it. Thank you so much for watching to see what all I have been up to this week. I hope you've had a great week. Definitely let me know in the comments if you read anything really good that you just have to talk about. I would love to hear it. If you enjoyed listening to me ramble today, please hit that like button on your way out. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I'll catch you on Tuesday.